Today we are making these pillowy, soft, hot cross buns. They're made completely by hand, no mixer necessary, and are soft and delicious, and oh my god, I can't wait to eat them on the inside. All you need is a little bit of time and a little bit of know-how, and I guarantee you probably already have half of the ingredients at home. Oh my god. Let's get into it. Hot cross buns, I mean, quintessential Easter, and we all absolutely love them. But I do think as home cooks, maybe you might get a little bit scared of how to make them. But this is just a wonderful thing to learn, and I think that everyone should at least one time in their life give it a crack. So hopefully this recipe will break it down nice and simple so that you think, hey, I can take this on and make some banging hot cross buns myself. Before we get into the video, I just want to say thanks. Do you know what? There are so many of you out there who come back every single week, leave me comments. I much appreciate you, and I love you very much. So howdy to all the regulars. And if you're new here, welcome! This is Dishes with Del. I'm Del. I've been a professional chef for over 25 years, and now I help home cooks make easy, delicious, waste-saving, and often budget-friendly recipes that you can recreate at home. If you're ever looking for any ideas, make sure you head to my website. There are tons of recipes there. You can find it in the description box down below, and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on any videos coming out of the kitchen. So in today's video, we're going to be making these hot cross buns totally by hand. No fancy equipment, nothing like the stand mixer, because I know that not every single one of you have something like that at home. If you do and you want to go and have a laugh, go watch this video up here. I think it was one of the first I ever put out on YouTube, and it's me making hot cross buns, but with the stand mixer. So that's why I'm doing this again today, but we're making it by hand, and I thought it's the same recipe with a few little bits and bobs added in so that we can make bigger, fluffier, and better hot cross buns. So let's get all of these ingredients weighed out, because I know there's a lot of them, but we'll go through them as we talk about it and get these buns on the rise. Because I tell you what, me and my boyfriend, we didn't buy any this week at the supermarket because they're currently available because it's coming up to Easter, and need some hot cross buns in our lives. So let's get this on and get into making these hot cross buns. What I like to do when any recipe where there's quite a lot of things is your mise en place. So here I'm weighing out all the things that I need weighed out so they're all ready to go, and I can just add them as I need. So that way you can make sure you've got the exact amount of everything and not accidentally adding too much. When it comes to your yeast as well, when you're baking, if your packet is old and you haven't used it in a while, get a new one. When you open it up, it should smell yeasty. And this is a #1 reason why often when people are baking at home and they're using instant yeast, they have a problem with their rise, because it does, like anything, go off. If you don't bake a lot, buy the sachets, because then you know every single time when you open it up that yeast is going to be at its full activity, and hopefully we'll have no disasters when it comes to the rise. Okay, everything is weighed out, so we just need to do a few more things, and I'm just going to talk about the fruit. You can put in whatever you like, whatever you have in the cupboard. Never go out and buy more unless you actually need it. I'm sure you've probably got something you could use. Apricots, figs, dates, prunes, raisins, sultanas, the list goes on. But what is a great idea when it comes to stuff like this is to plump it all up. So I'm going to add to this some boiling water, and we're going to sit them to the side until we need them. And by that point, if there's any water left, we can drain it off, and these will be nice and plump, meaning they won't tear through your beautiful dough. Next up, we need to take our milk, and we're going to warm it slightly so that we can bloom our yeast. So add our milk to the pan, and as you may have seen when I weighed it, I didn't quite have enough milk, so I actually just added a tiny bit of water, making use of what I had, and no need to go buy extra. So this can go onto the stove. We're going to warm it for a few minutes, then we can add the yeast to it and start it blooming. So while that's on warming, I'm going to sift my flour, and we're going to add in some spices. So we're going to talk about these. Of course, a hot cross bun is traditionally spiced. You might only have at home cinnamon, or maybe nutmeg, or maybe allspice. If you didn't have all of them, you could even use Chinese 5-spice, because this has in it cloves, cinnamon, star anise, fennel. It is all them warming spices that you find in a hot cross bun. Great option if you haven't got any of these guys. I'm just putting it out there. You don't always need to use exactly what it says if you maybe have a blend. The joy of making it at home is you can add exactly what you like. So we're gonna add into this mix half a good teaspoon of nutmeg, 2 large teaspoons of cinnamon, maybe a little bit more, and half a teaspoon of ground allspice. We're also gonna add in our sugar, and I've just checked that milk, and as you can see, there is actually a small amount of steam coming off of it. If you pop your finger in, it's just over blood temperature. But here is where you want to be really careful, because if it's too hot, you're going to kill your yeast and you'll be back at the point of it as if it wasn't active and it won't rise your dough. So make sure it's not too hot, add in your yeast, and we'll let that bloom for a minute or two, and then we can add in our butter and our egg. But while that happens, we're gonna stir our dry ingredients together and grate in our orange. Our yeast has bloomed nicely in our milk, and you can actually smell, again, you can smell that that yeast is there. And if at that point you can't smell the yeast, there again is a good chance that your yeast might be dead, so don't even add it. Go to the shop, buy some more, and start again, because we want the best chance of these rising as always. So we're gonna add in all that butter and milk and egg and yeast into the middle of the dough. It's gonna look a little bit slaggy, but we're gonna mixing it together. We've added in our salt. We've done all the things that we need to do at this point. Now it's just to mix it. Oh my God, this dough already smells absolutely freaking incredible. So again, there you can see that butter is soft and easy to work in. Now this dough is gonna feel really sticky when we start working with it, but that is the nature of it. You know, we've added the warm milk, we've added the butter, the eggs, but we are just gonna start working this and kneading it for 5 to 10 minutes. It's gonna come together and be a nice tight dough. Now I do have the flour here just in case, but look, already it's already way less sticky than it was. So trust the process and give it a good work. A minute ago, it was full on stuck to the table, and we've already started to get some incredible texture and structure in this dough. So currently at this stage, if we pull it like this, it's still pulling apart. We need to be strong and structured. So that is the only way that you can tell if your dough has had enough kneading, by a good stretch to see if the structure has changed. So I still need to keep on going. Can you see why adding in this would easily tear this dough? So adding it after is a much better way of doing it. When it comes to kneading dough, as you can see here, I'm kind of pulling it, I'm pushing my palm in and dragging it away from me. And obviously you can see when you do it in a mixer, the mixer is doing all this work for you. If you're ever interested in making other breads, check out my bread playlist. There's so many different breads in there from all around the world. Sweet, savory, the lot. Go check it out. We're still not quite there yet, but again, the texture at the top of that becoming much tighter and is beginning to spring back, but still a little bit teary. The texture will change as it rests, so don't worry, because the point of it resting is that the gluten can develop more and the yeast can do its job. But much springier, much tighter. I think we can nearly add in our chopped fruit. That can just rest for a few minutes while we cut this up. You want to make sure you drain off all the excess water, and I'm going to pick out the big pieces because the raisins can stay the size they are. But all these other bits, we want to give a good chop. So now I'm gonna spread out that dough. I mean, you can see even in that few minutes that it's been resting, texture changed quite a lot. And this is the easiest way to do it. See, look, even the window pane is starting to happen. You know, it's not pulling apart as much as it was. It's much stretchier and much more tolerable, not tearing as much. But here we might want a little flour, so I'll just take a bit out in case, because obviously these quite wet, but we're gonna add them in and we're gonna fold it in, push it down, and we're gonna knead it into the dough to incorporate them thoroughly throughout. So I am just gonna put a tiny bit of flour here while I knead this. So it will feel like it goes super sticky again, but this time we've already done a lot of that work to the dough. Give it a knead, and within a few minutes, it all should be back together again. But like I said, this is a good point where you might want to just add a touch more flour while we add in them slightly wetter ingredients. One last roll in the flour so we can get a good knead, but the texture of the dough bounces back and is looking great. So the dough is done, and now all we need to do is lightly oil a bowl, just a tiny bit, just so it doesn't stick. Pop the dough in. I mean, just look at it. Look how lovely and soft and supple. Bounces back, looking fab. In it goes. Cover it up with some cling film, and we need to set it to one side, and it needs to double in size, which will roughly be about an hour, hour and a half. But again, very dependent on your kitchen, as I always say when it comes to bread. Everyone's place is different. Sometimes it's not so much about watching the clock, but watching the dough. So once this has doubled, almost up to the top, we can shape it. While the dough's doing its thing over there, rising and doubling in size, I wanted to just tell you about something. Now, if you're new here, you may not know about it, and if you're old here, you might also not know about it. I've just brought out my first ever course. You can go and have a read all about it. It's in the description box down below, and it's all about sourdough. If you've never made sourdough because you thought, God, it's too complicated, oh my God, I watch these YouTube videos and I don't know what they're talking about with the auto lays and the friggin' hydration and blah, 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 blah. Well, I've made it simple. It's called the Reliable Sourdough Method. You can buy it on my website, and it will teach you how to make your very own starter all the way to your very first slice. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, hit the link in the description box. Anyways, let's get back to the dough. Okay. An hour and 25 minutes has passed, and we have most certainly doubled in size. So I'm going to be careful and try and keep this piece of cling film so I can put it over them when we shape them, which inevitably won't happen because I feel like it's already stuck together, but you know, worth trying. I'm just going to quickly talk about the trays. So I'm going to go in a tray like this. It's got a low side. We'll easily fit our 12 buns in it, and we'll give it a little bit of space for the air to move around, and hopefully should bake nicely. You can also go into something like this. It has a slightly higher side, so you know, you might see a little difference in cooking. And this is the thing, when we bake in an oven at home, I can guarantee that your ones in the middle are never going to bake quite as nicely as the ones on the outside. That is just the nature of a domestic oven. If we were baking in a baker's oven, them things are boiling bloody hot, and there is no chance of it happening because it's super hot, warm underneath. The air is, it's all, you know, even. Domestic ovens, hot spots all over the place. So what I do suggest is when you bake them, I always turn them round. But if you're in a tray like this, there's even a greater chance that maybe the ones in the middle will also be slightly undercooked. So at least with a lower side, the air can kind of get in everywhere. And if all else fails, we just go for the oven tray. You never need to go out and buy anything in particular to make stuff like this. There's always an alternative way in which we can bake. So let's get this dough out, let's cut it up into pieces, ball it up, and get it in the tray for its next rise. And what I'm also going to do is take the butter packet and just grease the tray oh so slightly before we put the buttons in. So we just need to tip it out. Oh my God, it feels like so soft. I really hope that these, oh, look at it, look at it. This is gonna be great. Oh my God, there's something about like dough, even when I used to make it, when I used to work in restaurants, it's like a, oh God, it's like a soft, lovely pillow. Oh my God, it's so lovely. Oh, I really hope that this turns into the beautiful dough. Oh my God, there's air bubbles in it. This is gonna be great. Okay, roll it out into a sausage, and we are gonna get 12 buns from this. So, you know, we're kind of knocking it back, but we don't want to be too heavy-handed with it. Oh my God, I'm excited. Okay, so let's cut it in half. And you can, if you want, get scales. Obviously, the more even they are in size, the better they will bake, but you can also just eyeball it. So then we need to go in half again, and then we'll go in half again. We'll cut these into 3s. I already know that we've got some silly sized ones because these are too big, but as I said, we can always add a little if we feel that there really is a huge size difference. Oh my God, I really hope that this dough is going to be good. I'm actually going to take a little bit off that guy and put it. We'll see. He's going to get added to something. And this is my little extra dough, but yeah, because this one I can already feel he's a bit light, so we'll add a touch more to that. Probably this guy too, we'll add a touch more to that one and to that one. Now we need to roll them, so you can just fold them in on themselves like this, and then with a hand we're gonna push forward and scoop it underneath to create a little tension, just like we would with any other dough. Oh, we've got a wonderful little guy like this. Pinch the bottom just to make sure it's all joined, and onto the tray. So there they all are, and at this point you can just make sure that they're all even on the tray with even amount of space around them. So now we'll cover them up and we'll leave them. Oh, classic, it's all stuck, but we'll work it out. And we just want to cover these up, and we're going to give them 30 to 40 minutes, maybe an hour, again, depending on the warmth of your kitchen. They just need to double up in size, and then we'll give them the signature cross to go across the top. Okay, they have pretty much doubled in size. They have filled up the tray nicely. They are looking plump. They probably could do with a little bit longer, but if you are new here, something about me when it comes to food, I often get impatient. Now, luckily, I've got a little piping bag. If you didn't have a piping bag, you can make one from paper. I show you that in my other hot cross bun video, but today we're gonna go with the piping bag because I have one. If you didn't have the paper to make the piping bag, you could also use like a Ziploc bag, something like that, and then just cut the corner off to get your little tip. But we're gonna fill this up. You do want to make sure that it's quite thick because you want it to stay pronounced on the buns. So now I'm going to just pipe the cross on. So what I do is I go across all the buns in one direction and then in the other. I already turned on the oven to 180 degrees, so it's nice and warm and ready for these to go in. How gorgeous do they look? So they're going into the oven for anything in between 25 and 35 minutes. You know, that is dependent on the size of the bun, how big you've made them. You know, you could make these into 6 if you really wanted to. They'd be like big buns. So at 20 minutes, we'll have a quick look at them, see how they're doing, have a look at the color. Halfway through, so maybe I'm going to turn them round so that the rest can get a nice color on them too. And that's it. We'll see them in a bit. I'm excited. The timer is about to go off, and if you could smell the smell in here, it will make you want to make these instantaneously. So, timer's gonna go off. Let's get these bad boys out. Oh yeah, I mean, just look at them. Oh, the smell is so good, it's so good. All we need to do while they're warm is glaze them. I've got some apricot jam here that my wonderful boyfriend made. Let's see if I can get into it. Oh, yep. But you want to take a good tablespoon of this. We're going to dilute it a tiny little bit with some water, and then we're going to baste it all over the top of these hot cross buns. Oh my God, honestly, these smell so good. so wonderfully full on that tray, you know. Oh, just wonderful. I'm never going to be able to wait for these to cool down. Okay, they're all glazed. Just have a look at how good this is. They're sticky and sweet, and in usual style they're probably still too hot to eat, but I don't care because I want to get into one of these and slather it up with some butter, because that is what a hot cross bun deserves. And if you're looking for any other Easter recipes, I've added a whole playlist up here. It's got some lamb, it's got some more bread stuff, but right now it's all about these. Oh, I mean, perfect. Still steaming. Oh my God. Have a look at that. Oh, all right, let's get into it. I've got some softened butter and I'm probably just gonna have the whole lot on there because lashings is the only way. One of the best I've ever made. Oh my God. When it comes to these, time and patience is a virtue. Make sure that rise happens. Make sure it's doubled in size. Don't add too much flour when you think it's sticky. Oh my God, go and make these. Quite possibly one of the best I've ever made. Practice makes perfect. Knowing what dough feels like is always going to help you. So make sure, get into giving these a go. Oh, and just like make some ASAP, because now I need to get some more butter for this guy. So I'll see you all next week. Please make sure you go and make these bloody wonderful buns. Oh my God, they're so friggin' soft. Yes.